Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
WWE Raw after Backlash 2025 kicked off with CM Punk getting engaged with Seth Rollins and his evil faction. The show began with the best in the world calling out Paul Heyman, leading to a brawl where Sami Zayn and Jey Uso rescued Punk. Following this, WWE has announced that Sami and Punk will team up against Rollins and Braun Breaker in a tag team match at Saturday night's main event. Amid this, there are chances that Logan Paul may become Paul Heyman's newest guy and dethrone Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. For those unaware, at the forthcoming SNME, the Maverick is set to lock horns against the Heat Master in a World Heavyweight title match. This feud began when the YouTube sensation confronted Jey and declared himself as his next challenger. With the Samoan twin getting mixed in a feud with the Visionary, it's conceivable that Rollins may take advantage of the situation. The Visionary and the Wiseman may decide to recruit Logan Paul as the fourth member to even the odds against Punk, Zayn, and Jey. Furthermore, they can assist the Maverick at Saturday night's main event against the Heat Master in the world title match. This help will allow Logan to shock the world by dethroning the World Heavyweight Champion and taking the title home on his shoulders. This angle will not only enable WWE to put the world title on the YouTuber but also strengthen Seth's faction. Additionally, it's important to note that Braun Breaker also launched a backstage assault on Jey during the show tonight. This shows that the Rollins villainous alliance is not finished with the Samoan star, which increases the likelihood of Logan Paul joining Rollins' faction. When is Seth Rollins' group expected to have its fourth member in WWE? At the end of April 2025, reports circulated that Seth Rollins' faction was not intended to be a mirror of previous groups in WWE. Additionally, the alliance was not meant to add new members, though this was subject to change. With the recent announcement for Saturday night's main event, there is a strong possibility that Rollins' heel alliance will get an addition to its fourth member. As we have seen, Braun and Seth are the only ones currently competing in the squared circle, so they need more numbers to overpower the babyface team. This is why WWE SNME appears to be a fitting scenario for a member to join forces with them. The World Heavyweight Championship scene has never been hotter on WWE Raw, and ever since Jey Uso shocked the world by capturing the title at WrestleMania, fans have been on edge. Jey, once seen as the right-hand man of Roman Reigns in the Bloodline, had carved his own path, overcoming doubters and cementing himself as a top singles star. But now, a storm is brewing, and at the eye of it is none other than Paul Heyman, the wise man, who is plotting the rise of his next guy. For months, Heyman has been silent, lurking backstage, observing from the shadows of SmackDown and Raw alike. Without Roman Reigns on television and the bloodline fracturing, Heyman's power seemed to dwindle. But Paul Heyman is never without a plan. In true Heyman fashion, his next masterstroke is a chess move no one saw coming, aligning himself with none other than Braun Breaker. The Breaker Bombshell. The former NXT champion, Braun Breaker, has long been touted as the future of WWE. With his explosive power, undeniable charisma, and lineage tied to the Steiner family legacy, fans have been waiting for his breakout moment on the main roster. Despite a few impressive showings on Raw and SmackDown, Breaker had yet to find a true identity, until now. It all began the night after SummerSlam. Jey Uso stood tall in the ring, World Heavyweight title on his shoulder, basking in the adoration of the fans. He had defeated Damian Priest in a grueling last-man-standing match to retain the gold. As he soaked in the Yeet chants, the lights dimmed, not a blackout, but a subtle shift. The Titantron flickered to life. There, on the screen, stood Paul Heyman. Alone. Smirking. "Jey. My tribal nephew," Heyman began, his voice calm and venomous. "You wanted to be your own man. You wanted to break away from your family. Well now. You'll meet mine." Cue the music, a distorted roar, followed by a blaring guitar riff. The crowd's confusion turned to shock as Braun Breaker stormed the stage, his eyes locked on Jey like a predator spotting wounded prey. Breaker hit the ring like a missile, leveling Jey with a thunderous spear. No words, no hesitation, just destruction. Heyman's voice crackled back through the speakers, "Meet the next Heyman guy. And your future replacement." A dangerous alliance. Over the next several weeks, Heyman reintroduced himself to Raw as the executive advocate for Braun Breaker. Gone was the uncertain rookie, in his place stood a man possessed, focused, and furious. Heyman's influence was clear. Breaker spoke less, destroyed more. He cut through the roster like a hot knife through butter. Ricochet, Chad Gable, Even Sami Zayn fell to the sheer force of Breakker's rage. Heyman explained in promos that Breakker was a hybrid of Lesnar's fury and Roman's intellect, a once-in-a-generation athlete lacking only a guiding voice. Heyman had found his new tribal chief, a man unburdened by family drama, untethered to the past. "This is not about legacy," Heyman growled. "This is about domination." Meanwhile, Jey Uso struggled with the weight of being champion. Though beloved by fans, his reign was marked by self-doubt. Without Jimmy, without Roman, he was fighting alone. And Braun Breakker, with Heyman at his side, was coming fast. The battle for the crown. The match was set for WWE Payback in Chicago, a city known for its vocal crowd and explosive energy. Jey Uso vs Braun Breakker for the World Heavyweight Championship. The build-up was electric. In a rare emotional promo, Jey stood in the center of the ring and addressed Heyman directly. "You think bringing in a monster makes you powerful, Us? You think you can replace Roman with him? Let me tell you something, Paul, I earned this. I bled for this. You see me smile now, but this title came with pain. Ain't no monster gonna scare me. Not now. Not ever." Heyman's reply? Cold and simple. Pain is exactly what you'll feel when you meet the Breakker era. The match, fire and fury. At Payback, the arena pulsed with anticipation. Jey arrived to a thunderous reaction, draped in white and gold, representing everything he had become. Breakker, on the other hand, came to the ring flanked by Heyman, who looked like a proud general presenting his ultimate weapon. The bell rang. Jey used his speed and veteran instinct to stay ahead early, ducking Breakker's attempts and chopping the big man down with superkicks and high-flying attacks. But Breakker absorbed the punishment like a tank, relentless, ruthless. Midway through the match, Heyman slid a steel chair toward Breakker, echoing a classic bloodline tactic. The referee was distracted. Breakker hesitated, then refused. He didn't want shortcuts. He didn't need them. Instead, he caught Jey in midair and snapped him to the mat with a vicious military press power slam. Kick out at 2.9. The crowd roared. Jey fought to his feet, eyes burning with resilience. He hit a superkick, then another, and then a third. He climbed the ropes for the Uso splash. The crowd stood. But Heyman grabbed his foot. The second of hesitation was enough. Breakker popped up, launched himself up the turnbuckle, and exploded with a top rope Frankensteiner that shook the arena. Jey was dazed. Breakker lifted him again. Breakker bomb. 1, 2, 3. The unthinkable happened. A new reign begins. Paul Heyman slid into the ring, grinning ear to ear as he raised Braun Breakker's hand. The crowd erupted, half in awe, half in fury. The World Heavyweight Championship now belonged to a monster molded in Heyman's vision. Breakker didn't celebrate. He didn't taunt. He simply stared down at the title, then at Jey, offering a nod of respect, then walking away. Heyman grabbed a mic. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your new conqueror. This is not a phase. This is the evolution of greatness. This is the Breakker era. And just like I did with Brock Lesnar, just like I did with Roman Reigns, I now present to you the most dangerous champion in WWE history." Jey Uso's reign was powerful. It was emotional. But it ended not because he was weak, but because Paul Heyman found the one man strong enough to break him. And in doing so, Heyman proved one chilling truth. You don't turn your back on the wise man, because sooner or later, he finds someone to break you.